Now, Wall Street has long been described as an exclusive, well, club, right? White and male. But there may be some changing in attitudes over women and minorities in the workplace. Now, my next guest says that not all the attitude changes are necessarily for the best. Nina Godiwalla is the author of Suits, A Woman on Wall Street, and Nina is our guest now. Nina, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Now, what prompted you to write this book? You came to Wall Street, you were maybe wide-eyed about it, you wanted to be part of the club, so to speak. Why write a book about the experience?
Well, when I was there, I had no intention of writing a book about it. I was just going through the experience, and I genuinely had no time to write about it. But later, I realized when I went in there, I didn't know what I was getting into. And afterwards, I thought, wouldn't it be valuable for people to have a sense of what they're getting into? Because the only thing that we were reading at the time was Michael Lewis's Liar's Poker, and that was not really my experience. And his perspective was different. Mine, I was coming in as a woman, as a minority. I was coming in as a public school kid with a bunch of Ivy League kids. So I wanted to have, and the reality is that's not the Liar's Poker wasn't the experience that I was having people around me have either. And now that I've written this, I've had so many people contact me and say, similar experience at X bank. You know, it's not that different.
Was there a huge disconnect between what you expected and what actually happened?
Absolutely. You'd hear over and over, it's challenging. You're going to be so challenged. It's going to be an amazing experience. And I was challenged, but my challenges.
80-hour work weeks, you mentioned.
Absolutely. The challenges, I expected that the work would be so hard. I would learn so much, and I learned a decent amount. And there was some challenging work, but the reality is my challenge was really navigating through these people. I found it very hard. I kind of think of the culture as leave your identity at the door, because anything that seemed to be different was something that should be left behind, and you come and you assimilate to what we are. So I think the more things you have kind of working against you, you have to basically have to go and improve yourself. And the more you have against you, the harder it is to go through that. And after a while, I just realized I don't know that these are the people I want to be spending my time with. And to be successful in the business world in general, but specifically where I was, it's all about relationships. And I saw so many opportunities where women were pulled out from that relationship building opportunity to be successful.
Give a story. I read some of the incidents that you recount in the book. One in particular strikes me. There was a colleague at one point from one of the bankers involved. The colleague had died.
Yes.
And it was reported in the New York Post that this person had died.
I'm not sure if it was a post, but yes.
Yeah, you tell the story.
It was reported that somebody had died in the office, and the other part that was reported in there was somebody very senior salary, because it was rumored that they were having an affair, and then she was killed. What happened was people started talking about how much she was making. The upset and the disturbing part and people getting very upset was really about how they thought they were getting paid less than what this, they were actually quite confident.
It was not sympathy for the fact that someone had met their demise.
Maybe it was another time that I missed, but from the conversations that I saw, it was pretty focused on money.
Pretty focused on money. Are you then surprised at what happened during the financial meltdown? I mean, you've got experience working firsthand. You know the culture. Were you surprised by what happened, let's say, subprime and the financial meltdown that occurred?
I'm surprised that it caught up with them. That was actually surprising to me. And it's not that I saw all these disturbing financial transactions going on, but to me, I noticed so many other things that I thought were what I would call inappropriate, and a lot of times it's not black and white whether women would get pulled off a deal because the client said, I don't want women. I think it's an opportunity for a company to come up and say, hey, we actually do have women at this company, and there will be women on the deal. So those types of things where I saw when you have a chance to make a choice, I didn't always see them taking the choice I would have personally taken.
All right, we're going to continue the conversation, and of course, being close to it, you've got a particular perspective. We've got more with Nina Godiwalla, author of Suits, A Woman on Wall Street, coming up. This is Taking Stock on Bloomberg. This is Taking Stock on Bloomberg. I'm Pim Fox. We're talking about changing attitudes, or maybe not, on Wall Street. My guest is Nina Godiwalla, author of Suits, A Woman on Wall Street. Nina, what did you come away from the experience thinking that you would have liked to have known getting into the Wall Street business?
My main thing is being able to, I didn't know the biggest challenge is if you do a good job, and this is a lot in the corporate world as well, when you do a good job, it's not always going to pay off. So much of it is about who you know and the relationships that you make while you're there, and that really, really determines who's going to succeed in that environment. And
yeah, but I got to think that there are people in the business who, when they hear that, they're going to go, well, yeah, that's any business. That's like pretty obvious. So I'm just wondering, I mean, looking back on it, do you think that that was something that, because you were focused on merit, that you missed out on, or was it because just the culture was so alien to what you were expecting?
I think it wasn't just different, but part of when the attitude is you need to conform to what we're doing, and you need to leave everything else. It's not a culture of, let's see all the different things here and let's look at the grays and this. It's a little bit more of a black and white culture, and it's also a culture of you assimilate to what they are. So when you're coming in, they have these amazing programs. I came in on a minority program for when I worked at Morgan Stanley, but one of the things is you can bring in amazing people, and they have good intentions and try and bring a lot of people, but they can't retain them. It becomes very hard for investment banks to retain them, because as you move up and you go further up in the ladder, you are with people that are much different from you, and it's not the kind of culture that is very open and, you know, excited by your different ideas, your different ideals. It's a culture that wants you to try and let go of all that so you can be just like them.
Did you find also that there was almost a hereditary nature at work, that there were people in the business, but because of, you know, family connections or because they had friends in the business, that is what kept everybody going?
Well, I think there was definitely a lot of people that had connections, clients, kids, or friends of friends from people, and those people were a little bit more immune than the average person. I was coming in from Texas with a public school degree. I had to definitely come and improve myself, whereas some of the other people got to get away with not doing too much, and they knew they were nothing was gonna happen to them.
Should we all come away with the notion that, at least in the industry, it's really just all about the money?
It's a lot about the money, and I think there's a lot of people motivated there by money, more so than the other corporations I've worked in afterwards.
Do you think that that's changing?
That would be something I think is going to be pretty hard to change. I don't even think 10 years from now. Maybe that's the next
Nina
book.
Godiwalla,
Yes,
thank you very much for joining us. Thanks for taking stock. I'm Pim Fox. Good night.